Hey guys, welcome back. So when I made my OHM video a couple weeks ago, I had Tactical Investing, who's got a wonderful channel, reach out to me and wanted to have me on with him. As a matter of fact, he also commented on the interview I did with Critical Complex as well and asked again because I had wasn't able to get back to him in time. But anyway, so we did meet the other day and we did have a really nice chat about OHM. We spoke about bonding. We spoke about 9-9. I kind of explained how the game theory of 3-3 works. We also spoke about the recent liquidation event that took place in Ohm. I think it was about 10 days ago, something like that, a week ago. I don't really remember. And how that was not caused necessarily by any kind of, you know, panic sell-off specifically. It was more or less of a liquidation event because people were over leveraged and a lot of whales were over leveraged. Anyway, we had a wonderful conversation. He's just a really, really great guy. And I'm starting to realize now doing these interviews, the real bread and the butter that I personally get from these interviews is what I talk with the other person about off camera, way more than on camera. We just had a great conversation off camera. He is just a really, really cool Christian guy and just got to know him. We got to know each other really well. So he is just a great guy. Please subscribe to his channel, Tactical Investing, and I hope you enjoyed this interview. Thanks a lot. God bless.
So when it comes to, bonding, obviously more people are familiar with 3-3 than they are with 4-4. But bonding, for people that want to get a little bit more integrated, more involved with Olympus DAO and the project in general, because the passion for the project and the rest of the quote unquote OMIs out there, how do they get involved with 4-4, and more specifically, what is 4-4, and how does that play a role into Olympus DAO?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I feel like it's important to know where this like game theory concept comes from. I don't believe I've actually explained what 3-3 and 4-4, even 9-9, that's another subject, come from.
Right.
But so the idea of 3-3 and 4-4 is actually comes from the concept of picking and incentivizing the outcome that kind of benefits everyone as a collective group. So if you go to Olympus DAO's documentation, they've got a chart that shows if you bond, that's 1-1. If you sell, that's -3, -3. Staking's 3-3. So the whole goal behind this is to kind of show what is in the best interest for the protocol. Obviously what's in the best interest for the protocol is what's in the best interest for us as a whole. This kind of goes back to something called the prisoner's dilemma. And I would encourage anyone watching this to just do a quick search on what the prisoner's dilemma is, but kind of high view, it goes a little something like this. So imagine you have two people,
Sure.
and these two people committed a crime and they're arrested. They are detained and they're questioned separately from each other. So these two people basically have three options. The first option is basically they keep quiet and they don't confess against each other. So
Sure.
in this case, they're both sentenced to 1 year in jail. The second option is they both confess against each other, and they both get 2 years in jail. And the third option is one confessed, the other didn't. The one who confesses goes free, but the one who is confessed against goes to jail for 3 years. So this is sort of the most one-sided option.
Right.
This was an idea that was developed back in the 50s, and it kind of shows why two rational people would not work and cooperate with each other, and how, when given options, people generally only do what is in their own personal best interest. So
Sure.
I kind of believe Olympus DAO solved this problem as best as they can by incentivizing the growth of the Treasury. And that's exactly where bonding and 4-4
Makes
comes into
sense.
play. So
Okay.
what they do is they say, okay, you give us these assets that we need for the Treasury, and we'll put those assets in the Treasury. So it's a
Okay.
win for them because
Yeah.
Treasury grows. It's really a win for all of us. So then they say, okay,
Indeed.
now that you've given us those assets, thank you. We'll now in return give you OHM at a cheaper price. So therefore, they win by growing the Treasury, which we all really win. And then you
Yeah.
personally win by getting OHM at a slightly cheaper price.
At a discount. Now, is there because obviously we know that it's at a discount. Is there like a specific number, or does that oftentimes fluctuate? Do you know specifically on that?
It does fluctuate based on the assets that they need. So if you go and you look at the bonding page, you'll see liquidity pool tokens. They just added LUSD as a new treasury asset. So you'll see LUSD, you'll see DAI. It kind of depends. The discount's going to depend on what they need at the time. So it does fluctuate kind of throughout the day and kind of throughout the needs of the treasury.
Got it. And that's what we see. Like right now, I'm looking at the bond discount, OHM Frax LP 4.68%. So that would be that 4.68% would be a discount on OHM. Is that kind of correct?
That's correct. And you do get that over a 5-day period.
5-day period. Got it. Perfect. And then obviously we're seeing, you said LUSD is kind of at the top. I'm just kind of looking at some of the ones that are bonding. We see DAI. Now, for some people that may not understand, what are the negative amounts? What does that entail specifically? DAI, Frax, or wrapped ETH is what it looks like over here.
Well, yeah, obviously, if it's negative, you're going to lose money. You're going to be paying more.
Right.
So in that kind of situation, you're looking at DAI. It's got like a negative 11%. So you'd pay 11% higher price than the spot market. So you wouldn't do that. Most people are not going to do that. So what that tells me is they really do not need DAI, but they really need Frax right now because you got about 6% discount on Frax.
Got it. So they're going to kind of push the ones that they need to kind of equalize the treasury a bit more. Exactly. So it's not all too one-sided towards one specific crypto.
Yeah.
Okay. Absolutely. And so when we kind of see the treasury bonds and we see own price under bonding, kind of see all the prices there. What we see, you're seeing a lot of amount of purchase. And obviously LUSD is added. Are they planning on adding more to the overall different bond pairs that we can see?
They are. So there's a proposal right now to add wrapped Bitcoin actually into the treasury. So, as people may or may not know, wrapped Bitcoin is just a Ethereum version of Bitcoin. It mimics the price of Bitcoin. So it would basically, we would say Bitcoin would become part of the treasury. And then obviously as part of the treasury would become part of the bonding system because they will need to incentivize people to not bring that into the treasury.
So as we look at 3.3 and we look at 4.4 and we consider, what is going to be the most profitable? Because a lot of times people are focused on profitability. What's going to be the best ROI, rate of return? How do I get my investment back the fastest way? And so obviously we know there's a lot of pros with 3.3. But when people consider 4.4, what are some of the benefits outside of just a discount? Is there more benefits to getting involved with 4.4 than there are 3.3? What are kind of the things that make 4.4 really stand out to the project other than people, just providing liquidity?
Yeah, it's a great question. So when you're looking at bonding versus staking, what you want to do is you want to look at what is your ROI over a 5-day period. Like when you're staking on the dashboard, there's a reason they show you that number. It's not just because randomly we're going to show you what you get over 5 days. It's because this is the rate of return you'll get over 5 days, because when you bond, it takes 5 days to get your OHM backs, right? So it's doing a comparative analysis here. So obviously, if you're looking at Frax at the moment we're doing this, it's 5.9%. But if you stake, it's 6.2%. So theoretically, you would have a better ROI if you just staked it and bought it at market price. So the actual bonding process is what really makes this treasury work, right? So if obviously a big chunk of the treasury assets come from bonding, they also they take the treasury assets and they earn a high yield in the world of DeFi. So that's another method they get. But these assets inside of bonding are what allow them to continue to grow the treasury. It's where the majority of the bulk of the treasury comes from. So you got people that, they go and they bond, right? The risk to bonding would be, if the discount's $820 right now, spot price is $870, so you're getting basically a $50 discount. Well, it takes you 5 days. So the moment you bond, you're locked in for 5 days and you're getting your OHM over a 5-day period at $820. If the price goes down to $700, you're getting it at $820, whether it goes below it or not. So that is a risk to when you do bonding. Why you would do bonding over staking is simply because you're supporting the protocol. If you don't bond, you don't get that linear growth in the treasury. But you do have some people I don't do this, but you do have some people that may just want to make a profit and sell it, right?
Okay, so they can get the ohm pretty much at like $800 and then turn around and sell it if the market price is $900, sell it for 900 in profit.
Yeah, yeah. So
That,
there is sort of an arbitrage play there. You might also have people who are sort of they're speculators. So a lot of
okay,
people, 92% of this is locked. You have some obviously in liquidity and things like that. You will have a percentage of people that hold this just to sell it at a higher price. Maybe they
sure,
think they're better traders than the compound interest, but I
sure.
would love to see it if they are. However, if that is their game, then obviously getting that at a cheaper price is what you'd want to do.
Got it. Got it. And so, eventually, because we know that with 3.3, the APY is going to eventually go down. We're going to see, I think after we hit 10 million, it's going to go 1,000 to 5,000%. Correct me if I'm wrong. After that, the ROI on a 5-day rate would go down theoretically, correct? So if the bonding is a higher ROI at that point, let's just say, for example, Frax right now, 6.09% is what I'm seeing. ROI on a 5-day rate, 6.2%. So let's just say a game of theory, ROI goes on the staking to like 5.5%, and Frax is at 6.5%. That would be at times when it would maybe make a bit more sense because your ROI is a little bit better with the bonding. Would that kind of make sense, at least in theory, at that point?
Yeah, that would make sense. And I should also say that those bond discounts do fluctuate throughout the day. So because they fluctuate, there are times if you catch it that it is your ROI is going to be better if you actually bond and get your OHM over a 5-day period than if you bought it at spot market price and staked.
Gotcha.
I would say a majority of the time it's not. But if you kind of wait and you kind of look at how things are moving around, there are times where that will happen. And to your question, yes. However, I would also probably add to that the discounts in the bonds will probably go in line with where the inflation's going. So if the ROI is dropping over a 5-day period, depending on how the Treasury needs assets, you might see those either go down or come up with it.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely makes sense. So, that's obviously one of the pros when we consider, 4-4. Now, let's talk about, some of the cons, maybe some of the negatives when it comes to it. If you were to look at, maybe a reason that someone shouldn't consider, 4-4, does anything specifically come to mind?
Well, if your only concern is ROI, you don't really care about supporting the Treasury. I think it's important to support the Treasury. However, if you're just thinking very I won't say myopically, but I will use the word myopically, and maybe you're just looking at the ROI only, then yeah, so the risk is obviously if you have a 5.6% discount using Frax right now, but you have a 6.2 ROI on just staking, then you're making more money if you just stake. The big risk that I see with bonding is being locked in at a certain price over 5 days, just because this is crypto. We had that liquidation event the other day that made the price go down 50%. If you would have bonded at $1,300 and you paid say $1,200 and saw it go all the way down to $600, you would have still been paying $1,200, irregardless of where the price goes. So kind of the biggest risk that I see, and that wasn't the protocol, that was the liquidation of the over leveraging. But kind of the biggest risk that I see is you're being locked in for 5 days, and in crypto, that may as well be 5 months.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, time in crypto moves a lot in the time of most markets. Moves much faster. A lot of things obviously can happen in the course of 5 months or 5 days, like you said, and it feels like kind of 5 months just because of the way crypto is oftentimes. So interestingly, you mentioned 99, and that's going to be kind of leads us to the next question. 99 is one of those concepts that when I try to explain it to someone, the easiest way I could really explain it to someone, as I said, it's kind of like buying on extremely risky margin. It's kind of, if you were in most relative terms, when centralized exchanges allow you to do like 100 times leveraging, it's kind of the risk that you're involving yourself with Olympus DAO with 99. You got high risk, high reward, but you kind of need to know what you're doing. So if you want to keep it simple, you know, the best way to go is either with 3-3 or 4-4. But many of those who are going to be your quote unquote gamblers, they're going to take a little bit more risk or are willing to take more risk, are obviously interested with 9-9. So, you know, talk about, you know, obviously risk goes down over the course of time. Obviously there you can involve how much you're leveraging. But, you know, definitely don't take out a loan on something like this. So, you know, that's, I guess, kind of be one of the main things. And if you were to get involved with 9-9, obviously the longer you hold it, the lower your risk becomes, correct? So if someone was going to get into something like this, you know, how would they go about it? And, you know, what kind of suggestions might you have for someone who has a little bit higher risk tolerance than I do? And I'm not sure if you're involved with 9-9, but I obviously don't have enough risk tolerance to do something like this. And I'm comfortable with my 3-3.
Yeah, so yeah, boy, 9-9, it's one of those things you got to be very careful with. So just to
Sure.
explain it really quick. So 9-9's a little different. We know that when we stake our OHM, I should say, it gets locked up as sOHM, or
Right.
staked OHM is what it stands for. So in
Yep.
this sOHM state, you can't really do anything with it other than just unstake it. That's really all you can do.
Sure.
So what Rari Capital did was they came in and allowed you to take your sOHM without unstaking it and get a loan against it. So picture you got like, you know, $10,000 worth of sOHM, and it's earning rebases every 8 hours. But now you can take out a loan against it. Let's say 30%. You take that $3,000, you go and you buy, you know, or they're going to give it to you, rather, I should say, in like USD coin. So you get $3,000 in USD coin. That's your loan. You take that USD coin, you then swap it back into OHM, and then you restake it again, right? So this is taking out a $10,000 loan against your sOHM, you know, or 10,000 collateral, I should say, $3,000 loan, and restaking it. That's essentially what 9-9 is. But there are some rules when you do 9-9. So obviously you can only borrow so much. You can get liquidated, and that's what we saw the other day if the price drops too sharply and you're over leveraged. So, you know, you got two different pools in there. You got Olympus Pool Party and Tetranodes Locker, and based on which one you go into, you can actually borrow, I think, and don't quote me on this, I think one of them is like 60 or 70% of your collateral.
I think I saw 70.
Yeah. So if you actually, what ended up happening that other day is that there were a few whales, so people that owned a whole lot of OHM, that were leveraged into the millions of dollars. They had millions of dollars worth of loans, and they likely were over leveraged maybe 40, 50%. So obviously we had a sharp sell off. They got liquidated. Because they got liquidated, they had millions of dollars worth. It really brought the price down. That caused more people to get liquidated. So it's like a cascading liquidation event, all because people were a little bit too over leveraged with 9-9. So what I say is, anytime you take out a loan, there's a lot of people that say take out a loan against your crypto, don't sell it. Well, be careful, because if it drops, you will lose your crypto. So in this kind of situation, you know, I always say, you know, debt's like a loaded gun. You can do good or bad with it. And just make sure that the amount you're borrowing against it's very low. Okay, like 20% or lower is a pretty safe number. That's pretty darn conservative. I've seen people, I know people personally who did 30, 35% and did not get liquidated this last time. But you got to be careful, because, you know, whether you take out a loan against your home to buy crypto, which I don't recommend you do. I had somebody ask me, hey, I want to take out a loan against my home and buy strong nodes. And I said, I'm just telling you, I wouldn't do it. Okay, you do what you want with that information. But whether it's that or whether it's taking out a loan in crypto, whether it's OHM, Bitcoin, whatever, you just got to be careful how much you borrow against, because this is crypto. We can be up 60% and down 60% in literally 24 hours.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, one of the things that, you know, when getting involved, because you talked about Rari Fuse Pool, and so with certain, because I've got the calculator pulled up, which I'll make sure to pin in the pinned comment, so people can also look at 4-4 and 9-9 on the calculator to kind of look at it as well. So there is a note at the bottom saying that there is 1 ETH minimum for fuse borrowing. Can you kind of explain that a little bit for someone who's like, hey, what does it mean that I have to have one Ethereum for fuse borrowing?
Yeah, so this is my understanding, and I don't have it pulled up in front of me, so you can correct me if I'm wrong on this. My
Sure.
understanding is it's 3 Ethereum for the minimum for the collateral, but you
Okay.
have to borrow at least 1 ETH worth. I
Okay.
believe, if I'm not mistaken, that's how it works.
Sure.
So if, let's just say Ethereum is $3,000, right? So what that means
Sure.
is you need at least 3 ETH worth of sOHM. So 3 ETH, $3,000, that'd be $9,000. You need $9,000 as collateral minimum in your staked OHM. And you can only
Okay.
borrow 1 ETH minimum. You have to borrow at least 1 ETH worth. So that would be
Uh,
$3,000 against the 9,000, just as in a simple example.
Got it. Got it. So someone that's staking, 0.58 OHM is not going to be someone that's going to be able to kind of participate in something like this. It's going to be people with a lot more sOHM that's already staked. They're going to be kind of looking into project opportunity like 99.
Yeah, that's correct. And I'll also add, as your staked OHM is in there as collateral, every 8 hours you're still getting rebase rewards. That goes
Okay.
to the collateral automatically. That's the
Okay.
reason why, if your liquidation, just say for example, your liquidation price is $300. If it goes to 300, you're gone, you're out. Over time, as you continue to get more rebases, that becomes 290, then 280, then 270, then 260. So over time, actually, your liquidation price might start at 300, but it eventually gets down to almost nothing at some point.
So I'm looking at the calculator now with 99 with the over leverage with the leveraging portion. This is an example of someone with 4 ohm invested, which would be around $5,000 value. And you look at after the course of 6 months, your overall borrowing amount goes down over the course of time, and then because the overall amount of sOHM compared to the amount that you borrowed increases in value. So that kind of deleverages your risk, like you were saying. And then after that, you look at 6 months later, you've taken that 5,000 into nearly $42,000, which is, crazy to me thinking, that ROI, which I don't even know what ROI that is, there's a lot of potential in it. And then, like you said, there's that risk as well, in getting involved. So, when we look at 3-3, we look at 4-4, and we look at 9-9. Obviously, each one has a unique aspect to it.
Yeah.
They got some pros, they've got some cons. And in the end, for me personally, 3-3 is my favorite. I'm not going to touch 9-9. A little bit too risky for me. I like the potential 4-4 because, for me, being involved in the project and being able to provide more liquidity to the treasury is just kind of being involved in the project and a little bit more than just kind of on the outskirts. When you look at the project yourself, how involved are you with 3-3 and then also 4-4? Are you going to ever get involved with 9-9?
3-3, I'm involved with. I've been involved with 4-4. Personally, I just kind of evaluating 9-9.
Sure.
I made a inflation calculator in one of my OHM videos,
Okay.
and not an it's an unrealistically worst case scenario calculator. So
Yeah, I remember you talking about it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So in 1 year, and again, this is much lower than what it will really be. You could
Sure.
stake just one OHM and have 33 OHM in the course of 12 months. Likely,
Wow.
likely much more than that.
Sure.
So if you've got, I don't know, a $2,000 OHM, for example, that's almost 70 grand in a year. It
Right.
just, you got to weigh the risks to reward. In life, everything, greater risk, greater reward. If you get into crypto now, the reward is much greater than if you wait 5 years for it to become legitimate, quote unquote, right? So
Sure.
for me, when I'm weighing 9-9, I see the power of the compound interest, and it's like that's
Mhm.
the eighth wonder of the world. That's good enough for me. So I
Sure.
personally, doesn't mean that 9-9's wrong. If somebody, I know many
Sure.
people have done it and they've done very well with it. It's just for me personally, I didn't see the need to take an additional risk on top of the staking already.
Sure. Got it. Got it. And then you said you've been involved with bonding in the past. If there's, obviously, some specific tokens are going to be involved now soon with the Treasury. If something comes up, like obviously you're involved with Strongblock. What if in a beautiful, heavenly case scenario, Strongblock and the own partnership happens, right? And there's possible even, strong possibly as far as like a pair that may be even included in something like OHM. Would that be something that maybe would kind of pressure you to kind of get involved with bonding?
Yeah, so I mean, I think if Strong and Ohm partnership, it could, break the internet. It could break crypto, quite frankly.
Sure.
And if Strong ever got involved with Olympus Pro, now I know there was some conversation that you had with David Moss about potentially a treasury system being developed. Whether they make their own or they actually adopt and bring Olympus Pro onto Strongblock, you're going to see kind of the same situation with Strong that you've seen with OHM, which is you're going to have the backing of Strong. Okay, so you would
Yep.
have some sort of floor price, you would have some sort of treasury, you would have a bonding system, and
Hmm.
then you would have because Olympus Pro has a marketplace for all of their partners where you can go on there and get bonds, right? So Strong would all of a sudden now be part of that bonding system. So it
Yep.
would be very fascinating because I think it's 3.3%, if that hasn't changed by now, that when a partner goes on Olympus Pro, that goes back to the Ohm Treasury. Again, it's
Mm.
kind of, I see Olympus as sort of the tide that rises all boats in DeFi. It's sort of that
Sure.
black hole for DeFi,
Yeah.
if you will. And it's just it's fascinating to see them take this very successful bonding system, this treasury system, and
Yeah.
then offer it out to other protocols as a plug and play system called Olympus Pro.
Yeah.
So if that ever happens, that's going to be very interesting to watch.
Awesome. Yeah. Obviously, with me being involved quite heavily with both projects, kind of seeing that beautiful partnership would be fantastic.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So the last thing, and this will kind of be the last question, you mentioned Olympus Pro. I've got it pulled up. Maybe provide some insight. People are going to see the tab. They're going to see Olympus Pro. They're going to look at it and they're like, "What is this?" Right?
Sure.
So could you give us a little brief synopsis of what Olympus Pro is and what it's meant to do?
Yeah, sure. So it's taking basically their system of having a treasury which contain assets that create a floor price, also known as RFV or risk-free value. They
Hmm.
back each OHM that's minted. They earn yield on those treasury assets. They do all sorts of things that support the DAO as a whole. So they're
Sure.
taking this and are offering it as a service to other crypto protocols as a sort of
Okay.
plug and play system where people can purchase these bonds on a marketplace and then support that protocol as well as get a discount on that crypto token. So right now it
Oh,
looks like there are, I believe, 6 official partners, and there's actually many more
yeah.
that are currently voting on it in their own governance right now.
Gotcha. Yeah, I see Alchemex, Flow, Frax, Pendle, Stake Down, and then Abracadabra. Yeah, I
Yes.
guess that's what it is.
Yes.
Awful. Interesting, because I know Olympus Pro was one of the recent launches, one of the more recent developments by Olympus DAO. So obviously, I think it's still in its early stages. I feel like we're going to see a lot more, like you mentioned. There's other current protocols, decentralized protocols that are voting on participating on something such as this. But I just foresee, as we see the treasury increasing in value, other protocols are going to see the value behind the amount of funds that are available in here to be able to, partner with the likes of Olympus DAO and just make it much, much, much easier on them.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the big benefits that Olympus DAO has is they've got this massive war chest of
Yeah,
funds, and OHM is already a DeFi protocol, but they've taken these treasury assets and gone out back into the DeFi world to earn these high yields we're seeing on
yeah,
those assets. So that's why I say I look at what Olympus is doing, and it just looks like this black hole of DeFi. And as more
sure.
partners come on board, that's just going to grow to all these other protocols. I sort of see more of a backing of cryptocurrencies down the road being a little more normal and traditional,
Sure.
just because I think Olympus is starting that. And I've
Mm.
always said it almost like they took the Treasury gold standard model and they married it to the yields we're accustomed to DeFi.
Mm. That would make a lot of sense because you've got a lot of yield farmers that expect high return and stuff like that. I just see a lot of potential in Olympus Pro. It's one of the more things I'm excited about. as far as the project itself growing. Obviously, I've got my own investments within 3.3 growing, but as the project as a whole, I just see this as kind of next level for Olympus DAO. So pretty exciting. Looking forward to kind of seeing some of the things that are going to be coming online. So.
Yeah, absolutely. It's when I first started looking at OHM, I said, I don't know what this is, but it's a little,
Sure.
it's a little more complex than your traditional. Nothing against Doge, okay? Nothing. If you own
Right.
Doge, you made money on Doge, God bless you. It's not your
Sure.
traditional Doge coin. It takes a little bit of time to realize
Yeah.
what this is, and for a lot of people, they see that as a negative. I look at that as a
Mhm.
benefit because
Sure.
I just think, success in any area of life is sort of a series of obstacles. And just like
Sure.
how a track and field runner has to jump over hurdles, the more hurdles that I see, the more excited I get because I know that the
Yeah.
vast majority of people are not willing to
Not
jump
going to be
over.
involved.
They won't jump
Yeah.
over one hurdle at best. So if
Sure.
you're this kind of guy that says, you know what, you're willing to jump over an infinite amount of hurdles, like the
Yeah.
people like originally, what is Bitcoin? And this thing no
Yeah.
one's ever heard of. Blockchain is like this really difficult thing. And if you were the person that said, I'm going to sit down, there's something to this because it's not easy to
Yeah.
understand, then you are
Sure.
just way ahead of the crowd. And I see Olympus as sort of that new sort of standard as how cryptos are going to be operating in the future.
Absolutely. I can't agree with you more on that. And obviously, just exciting, just seeing this project still in many ways in its infancy. I mean, this was back in March. It's not even a year old. So just more to come, I feel like, from this project. Super, super exciting. Well, it was fantastic having you on here, Passive Aggressive Income, talking about 4.4, talking about 9.9. Hopefully we can get you on again. We'll kind of maybe do another kind of a question and answer when it comes to Klima. There's a project, we talked a little bit before all of this, just literally launched yesterday. For me, in my opinion, it's an opportunity for those who didn't get involved with Olympus DAO day one. It's kind of an opportunity getting involved with another kind of quote unquote fork of something similar to Olympus DAO in the very, very beginning. Super exciting to me. Hopefully we can get you, we can kind of coordinate something to be able to talk about this, but super fantastic being able to have this conversation with you and enlightening all of us a little bit on 4.4 and 9.9.
Well, hey, thank you so much for meeting with me today. And, I subscribe to your channel, as I told a lot of my subscribers as well. And I mean, you shoot straight fire and you knock it out with every video. So I'm very humbled to be with you today. So thank you so much for having me. And also thank you for your service to our country as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.